Hey everybody, Brian Von VA here, back at it again, another set of D&D stories. Today we've got another set of doozies, but this one's also a little bit of a raunchy tale of Disgust and Druidry. I'm playing in a 5th edition online West Marches group with levels all over the place. I come in at level 4. Only one group is playing during my free time, so I join them. They're all between levels 8 and 10, Fighter, Ranger, Sorcerer, and a Warlock. The level 10 Elven Edge Sorcerer takes me aside. "You're new, I can tell. This is going to be too hard for you. Just find a different party. I don't want to see you get one shot then hide at the back all game slowing us down." Okay, bud. I bring out Tupac Quetzalcoatl, a true neutral lizard folk moon druid who wields a Maquahital club and a Kamali shield. No armor because nature gives him his. His name means warrior lizard in Nahuatl, going in hard on the Aztec but still getting constant rap jokes. Magic initiate wizard to get find familiar since nerds get pets, but druids don't. Give him a venomous snake named Quetzalcoatl that gets milked for poison. Tupac wears him like a belt. They spend all their time at the guild hall floating in the pond. All eyes on me. Fighter and Ranger are the only ones who talk to Tupac due to the lizard folk's weird speech pattern and habits. Hard to speak common when your lips don't move much. Tupac only likes talking about food or hunting and is literally incapable of feeling for the other party members. But he likes the Fighter and the Ranger for being good hunters. Upon inspecting the character art, the Ranger asks where Tupac's junk is. Tupac literally has no concept of shame and modesty and gives a detailed reptilian biology lesson complete with examples. The Ranger apparently dreams of being a bard and is delighted to know that most lizards have 2 swords. However, the Warlock has a weak stomach and avoids the lizard now. The party finally decides to go through a portal with Tupac at the back to keep him safe, and away from the Ranger at the front. We arrive in some hilly fields on a mission to rescue some farmers from a dragon. No usual signs of dragons, but plenty of weird floating demonic creatures in the distance. These big ugly bugs that are all mouth and the size of your head. Our Fighter and Ranger don't carry ranged weapons. A Ranger that isn't a ranged attacker. Huh, what a concept. Fear not, boys, the Druid is here. Tupac hands them each a rock. "This one throw good." The party looks at Tupac like he's had a stroke. Sorcerer looks at the other party members with an "I told you so" look. "That's a rock, and they're at least 50 feet away." Tupac pulls out a sling. "This one throw good." Sorcerer facepalms. They have resistance, and that's still a rock. Tupac doesn't respond. He simply winds up and launches it at one of the creatures, and they watch as he drills one and pops it like a balloon. "This one throw good." Ranger and Fighter get the memo and huck their rocks at the incoming demon bugs. As we run out of rocks, Tupac casts Magic Stone again and hands them more rocks. The casters throw around spells of fire and arcane power, while the other 3 stone the demons to death. Should have been a cleric. We finish off the swarm after a good long fight and a whole lot of rocks. Tupac gives the Fighter and Ranger slings, then shoulders past the Sorcerer and does the closest thing he can to a grin. "This one throw real good." From now on, the Fighter and Ranger refuse to go anywhere without Tupac's throw of good rocks. Trademark. We work our way through the fields towards a big weird-looking tree, which we guess is the source of the bug demon since it's covered in the things. Halfway to the tree, we see a pair of trolls in a valley. Warlock and Sorcerer spend way too long planning. Tupac gets bored and strolls right up to the trolls, flicks up his crest, and does a war dance. The trolls aren't amused. Tupac casts Flaming Sphere between them and starts running. Trolls still aren't amused. Chase after the lizard, but they can't catch up with Tupac. Meanwhile, they keep getting hit in the ass with a small sun. Eventually, the trolls get in a rock-throwing fight with the lizard. The rest of the party finally catches up and starts throwing spells at the trolls. The first troll goes down in a barrage of rocks and spells. Tupac charges the second one, jumps up, and latches onto its head, biting its throat and ramming the Flaming Sphere into the back of his head. The Ranger hamstrings it, and the Fighter knocks it down. We all tear it apart in a melee frenzy. In the process, the Ranger and Fighter get attacked by the severed arms, which they frantically chop to pieces and burn. After the fight, the Ranger and Fighter go to high-five Tupac, who is currently shoulders deep in the troll's neck and still going strong. The Warlock is visibly unwell watching this. It doesn't help when Tupac chases down one of the troll's legs that is making a break for it, and instead of killing it, folds it up and binds it with a rope. Party decides to take a short rest before going for the tree. They are further horrified when Tupac uses his racial trait to skin and dress 2 full-sized ogres in an hour. He makes a set of javelins out of their bones and bundles up the leg and organs in their own skins, using their hair as a rope. Everyone can see the leg still twitching under the skin. Tupac asks the warlock why is he turning green like him. We make our way to the tree, which has a cloud of weird bug demons around it. A few of them are bigger than us. For once Tupac and the sorcerer agree, fireball and flaming sphere on the tree. That gets their attention. We manage to really piss off demon bugs and the entire party gets swarmed. We can barely move due to the sheer amount of demon bugs. The warlock gets unlucky and goes down. Fear not, boys, the druid is here. Tupac runs over with good berries, but Tupac's magnificent lizard brain realizes that an unconscious man cannot eat. He doesn't want his hunting partner to choke. He starts chewing. Warlock is back on his feet, not looking well, but he's alive. Now the party is suddenly taking every precaution not to go down. One of the bugs flies past Tupac, so he wild shapes into a Deinonychus and jumps onto its back, riding it into the ground and tearing it apart. He gets knocked out of wild shape by a group of smaller bugs and goes right back into it next round. He gets knocked out of wild shape again. Everyone's almost dead, but the warlock kills the last of the big bugs with a disgustingly good eldritch blast, and all the smaller bugs instantly pop and start to dissolve. Tupac is horrified and scrambles to the nearest big corpse and yanks out as many teeth as possible, stares intently at them as the rest of the body dissolves. The teeth don't disappear. Tupac would cry if he had tear ducts. He takes all the obsidian out of his maquaheedle and replaces it with demon bug thing teeth, licks the new blade, and takes poison damage. Delicious. The party burns down the weird tree not tree thing while Tupac dances around it in a ritual that makes the warlock queasy. He asks if his friends need healing. No. We go back to town and collect the gold for slaying the dragon. Definitely wasn't a dragon, but the party couldn't convince the townfolk otherwise. We start dividing up the money and Tupac has the party keep his share of the reward. Fighter asks him if he's sure. Tupac looks up from the still flailing troll leg he's currently eating, grinning and drooling blood as it starts to regenerate. He's got everything he could ever want. Tupac messily pops a good berry into his mouth. Warlock pukes. The Drunken Fighter. I recall a group almost 10 years ago where that guy was a relatively new player to our group, and we'd agreed the game was going to be about mid-high fantasy D&D heroics. So he shows up with his drunken old man loud of a fighter. Meanwhile, we're all playing young kind of weeaboo anime hero types. We tolerated him and how often he'd talk about how drunk, smelly, and generally obnoxious his character was. He would use metagame knowledge to make fun of our characters in character, laughing at us when we'd get knocked out, calling us cowards when we failed our fear checks, and the DM would take pity on us and just kind of give us let it slide looks and let us take rerolls. We'd bitch about it between sessions, and we sort of grew to hate the guy as a player. His character would go on to long diatribes about dungeons and gold and how useless we were, and we'd get into hour-long arguments where the DM would constantly have to remind us all to keep it in character. Anyway, this campaign goes on for at least a year, and the storyline is kind of climaxing, and a DM NPC gets kidnapped. So after another argument session, we get convinced by that guy to take a suicide mission and storm a castle, and he's basically yelling at us IRL, we have to do it. So when we agree, he leaves the room with the DM for a few minutes, and we assume this is all some meta plot about how he's going to fuck us over and steal our shit. They come back in as if nothing had happened. Session continues, but we're all on guard, assuming something is up. We storm the castle or whatever and have a lot of fun, not really noticing this guy has stopped being so obnoxious. He hasn't once mentioned how his character reeks of whiskey or onions or whatever, though he wastes a good 5 minutes explaining how his character shaved his beard. Whatever, we just assumed the DM talked to him about how it was annoying to us. Epic battle ensues, and fast forward to the face-off with the BBEG. Some lich thing, and the fight isn't going so well. We're getting spanked. Our cleric is down, and Mr. Fighter has a haste, and out of nowhere goes, I rush to Cedric, the cleric, and slap him. Get up, you coward! At this point, I groan, but the DM is like, Cedric, you're back up with XX HP. Then Mr. Fighter goes, I turn to the Lich and I smite him. And suddenly it clicked for all of us. Gur had been playing a paladin the entire time. His insults were his lay on hands, and calling us out as cowards were his anti-fear aura. He wasn't that guy, we were that guy, and we'd just been absolutely out-role-played for almost a year. That goes in the top 10 anime betrayals if I ever did fucking see it. Holy crap. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA here, making sure to check in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell to get notified whenever we post a new video. And be sure to check out our main channel, MrRipper, as well as our subreddit, r/MrRipper, if you'd like to ever post any stories for us to read. The links are going to be in the description below. And as always, make sure to come over and say hi to me, Brian Von VA, on YouTube and on Twitch. All the love, be safe, we'll see you next time, bye for now.